let's go, let's go.
Last year, in 2022, Six Flags Over Texas opened their newest attraction, which was not Aquaman Power Wave. Instead, it was a reimagining of a classic dark ride of Over Texas history named Pirates of Speelunker Cave. When the attraction opened, it was definitely the park's most highly themed attraction, with a unique story, unique animatronics, and truly was a revival of its former successor. But after only a few weeks of the attraction's opening, the quality dropped big time. And when a flood came in, damaging most of the animatronics, now in 2023, the attraction remains to be abandoned. So the question is, why did this attraction fail? And when can we see it reopen? In today's video, we'll be discussing exactly that. But before we get started, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JB Thrills, we make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides, no matter where they're located. And if you're a Texan enthusiast, this is also the channel for you if you want all Texas theme park news. So if you're interested, you should definitely stick around. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So around this time last year, Pirates of Speelunker Cave opened to the public at Over Texas, and from personally riding it, the attraction was truly amazing. It did not feel like a Six Flags ride, the theming was out of this world, and the fact that the whole story was uniquely created for Over Texas, like the first rendition of the attraction, is just amazing. For those who haven't been on the attraction yet, let me give you a quick synopsis of the attraction. Basically, you're on a pirate boat on a jolly journey through the high seas. You'll encounter some wanted pirates and visit memorable locations before you stumble into the hidden cave of the Speelunkers. Once you find them in their antics, the pirates find them as well and try to steal all their treasure. It ends with a battle between the Speelunkers and the pirates, and of course the Speelunkers win. The attraction was highly needed, and it truly was a dark ride compared to other dark rides out over Texas like Justice League Battle for Metropolis. Rides that have story and theming is everything a park needs, and with this attraction, Over Texas was headed in the right direction. Keyword was. For historical context, this attraction had two more renditions. The very first being Speelunker Cave, where the idea of the Speelunkers came from. Shortly after, the attraction got replaced with Yosemite Sam Glow River Adventure. This time it was branded and full of all the Warner Brothers characters, before a flood destroyed that attraction, leaving us with this new attraction. Now, one thing all these renditions shared in common was that over time, the attraction became run down, with barely any animatronics working, the effects not at its full potential like it used to be, and the park leaving it for neglect. In the case for this new attraction though, it got real bad real fast. In a time span of just 3 weeks, all the effects were not at its full potential as the opening, majority of the animatronics were not working or were missing pieces, and the park was just leaving it for neglect. And this is only 3 weeks. Fast forward and a flood happens again, destroying a lot of the animatronics and leaving the attraction in disrepair. Now while they were supposed to fix it quickly, the attraction is and still remains to be closed to this day. So the question is, what happened? And why does this always happen to Six Flags attractions? Well, in order to decide what exactly happened to Pirates and why it failed, let's talk about how it got built. The attraction idea has actually been into works for a very long time, but the one who got into fruition was Ron McKenzie, former park president of Over Texas. He really enjoyed the legacy of Over Texas and wanted to keep it going, so by bringing back the Speelunkers, that would be a right step into his ideas. But here's where the problem begins. Ron McKenzie was there for majority of the building of the project. He planned it and foresaw its construction. But when we get a CEO shift and new park presidents are named, Ron McKenzie gets kicked out and a new park president steps in charge. This already partly messes up the ideas of Pirates of Speelunker Cave. Without Ron McKenzie, the attraction was basically unfinished, leaving the new park president to pick up the pieces and try to assemble what Ron McKenzie planned. There was also a mad rush to get the attraction open quickly, because originally when Ron McKenzie was in charge, Pirates was supposed to open in January of 2022, but lots of delays happened, which led up to the delayed opening of May 13th. This was already a bad sign for the opening of the new attraction. Not to mention, dark rides take a lot of work and a lot of technical adjusting. Pirates have a lot of technical screens, a lot of special effects, audio, sound, music, and of course the animatronics, so they have to make sure everything is correct before they open it. But by opening day, the attraction was already suffering lots of issues. Some animatronics weren't working, some effects were delayed, and it was a technical nightmare. But they managed to pull it off, and the attraction was still very amazing. Now here's where the real problem begins. For a typical theme park that's not Six Flags, for example Dollywood or Knott's Berry Farm, they always try their best to care for their attractions. Not to say they're perfect, but At least their dark rides are not in a state of disrepair. But when it comes to Six Flags, they tend to neglect a lot. And for a new attraction like Pirates, which got delayed a little bit, got finished halfly, and has a lot of moving parts, it's not surprising the ride will need some work and constant maintenance to check on it. But Six Flags did not do that. In fact, 1 week after opening, it seems like they were just fine with a mediocre job. And this led to constant breakdowns caught on camera, and the ride already seeming like it's been there for a year now, even though it's only been open for a week. Effects that worked during opening day, like the bubbles in the Mermaid Cove, or the steam effect before you go into Mermaid Cove, didn't work. The Crystal Cave lights just didn't work anymore. And during opening, the ride had this feature where the boat would go at specific segments, so you felt like you were alone, and these doors would open from scene to scene to add a great transition. But after a week in, dispatch just allowed any boat to go, so that special feature was now gone. You could see the other boat, or worse, you would get into a boat traffic jam, especially on that lift hill. Sure, all these effects are hard to maintain, but constant maintenance daily would allow the attraction to be in top shape. Instead, Six Flags' solution was turning some of the effects off and leaving some of the malfunctioning animatronics static. This made the attraction far worse. But that's only the beginning. Next would come some of the teenagers that would leave their boat and mess with some of the sets. For example, one of the mermaids in Mermaid Cove was missing a head. Now yes, this is out of the park's control, and this is solely the fault of the guest. But there's definitely ways that Six Flags could enforce this better, because you don't see problems like this in Tiburon and Log Ride, or Fire in the Hole. In fact, this problem could have been thought about before they opened the attraction to find measures to keep the guests in their seats and allow for the attraction to not get messed with. This wasn't thought about, therefore allowing this to happen. The final kicker that completely hurt the attraction was the flood that damaged lots of the animatronics and the attraction as well. Deja vu to Yosemite Sam, which leaves the attraction in its current state. So that leads to the next topic. When will the attraction open? Well, earlier this year, it was announced that Pirates was supposed to open this summer, and we're almost there. From my past visits at Over Texas, I've been keeping a steady eye on the attraction, and they have been steadily working on it. One new update to the attraction is some minor changes going on to the queue line. Now it's going to be an automated voice that talks and tempts riders into walking in, with a new special effect of a pirate trapped in a wine bottle. Kind of cool, and could foreshadow some more theming and new special effects added to the attraction. So as for my prediction that it will open this summer, I think it's very likely. We could see a late May opening date, similar to how it opened last year, and hopefully it stays open. Now while it's great to see updates on Pirates, and see it finally open, allowing for a new attraction to actually be operating in Over Texas besides Aquaman, the main issue is still not resolved. They could easily open it up, but do the same mistakes they did previously and allow for another fail for Pirates. So how do we prevent a failure for Pirates Speelunker Cave? Well, the most important thing is constant care. If Six Flags decides to change their old ways and place immense care to every single attraction of their park, not just the fan favorites, this could allow for less attractions to be closed during a park visit and up the experience overall for Over Texas. And as for Pirates, this means less animatronics breakdown, and we can finally see its full potential every day we visit. But even with constant care, there's still some guests that like to break rules. So how do we fix that? Well, first off, I think they need to implement a new security system to stop guests from getting up from their rides. This could be a new lap bar system or seatbelts on the cars. If not that, then cameras in every scene with an employee watching them all the time and catching any guest that decides to break any rules. Over Texas does have a camera system, but they don't always monitor it, which allowed for some guests to get up and steal a mermaid's head. But with these new systems in place, it'll prevent anybody from doing anything not supposed to, and also keep the attraction live and well. Overall, while Pirates did fail, even though it was a great attraction, I think this closure served well because it allows Six Flags to take a step back and reorganize to make sure the attraction is at its full potential. Recently, major updates have been implemented at Over Texas, from El Sombrero getting repainted, from a new locker system for Aquaman Powerwave, meaning the care is finally coming to Over Texas. And if this pattern continues, it could mean that Pirates will finally be one of the best and most themed attractions at Six Flags, and allow for what Ron McKenzie wanted, which was keeping the legacy going for Six Flags Over Texas, the first Six Flags park that started it all. In result, I'm really excited to see what happens to Pirates when it reopens. On opening day last year, it was truly a surreal experience, and I was so amazed in how it did not feel like a Six Flags ride, and I hope Six Flags keeps it that way. Also, one major change I want to see is for the gift shop near the attraction to actually sell Speelunker merch. I mean, the Speelunkers come from the park itself, so there's no copyright issues. And Speelunker merch is way better than generic Pirate merch, because you can only get it out over Texas, nowhere else. Anyways, what do you think of Pirates? And for those that got to ride it before it went to disrepair, what are some things that work with Pirates as well as some cons? Comment down below. Anyways, thank you for watching, and this is JV Thrills signing out.